Hey everybody, I decided I'd make a quick video on installing the JMS PowerMax booster pump into a 2018 Trackhawk. There's really nothing out there that covers this, and I think it's been documented before, but these instructions that you get from JMS are not specific to the Trackhawk at all. I think they use like a Mustang or something, and so it doesn't really do a great job of walking you through it. And so I've seen more than one post in the Trackhawk group online about, confusion about how to do this. I've actually got a pretty good start on it here already, so I just thought I would kind of catch up with where I'm at, and then, hopefully this is helpful to the next guy who's out there trying to figure out what the heck to do. So some of this I'm not going to be able to show you because I made it a little too far. And special thanks to John Moore on the Trackhawk group for giving me some pointers, because he went through this and was extremely helpful in getting me to where I am so far. First of all, on this guy here, this goes up to the gas pedal, and there's a voltage reference connection that you use that plugs in line with your gas pedal itself. It's this guy right here, and I'll go over and show you in a minute what to do. But basically there are 3 wires that come out of this right here, and this is black and white so you can't really see it, but there's a red one with the little connector on it, and then there's I think it's a black one and a gray one. You just want to cut the black one and the gray one and tape them off. The only thing you need is that connector right there that plugs into that one right there after you've hooked it up to the gas pedal. So I'll go over there and show you that in a minute. Actually, how about we do it right now? And I probably way overdid this. As you can see, I've got the whole guts of this thing taken out for the most part, but I was trying to figure out where I wanted to mount the thing. And I decided that I wanted to go as inconspicuous as possible, so I haven't screwed that down yet, but I've test fit it and it looks like it'll fit perfectly kind of underneath the spare tire deal. And it'll end up being about right here when it's done. So this bolts right behind the back seat there, same on the other side, and then my booster pump will be sitting kind of right behind that plate. So I'm gonna screw that down here shortly, but things you got to do before you get that far. Don't try fishing the wire from back where you mount the booster pump all the way down the side here and up underneath to the gas pedal for that reference deal without pulling this black trim off here, pulling those things off, and then taking out this B-pillar cover here. Back here, same deal. Let me put this seat up quick. You don't have to take the back seat out, you just have to unbolt 2 bolts here in the front, and then lift up this carpet, and there's where your pump relay or pump connections go. Anyway, I tried for a while to fish that wire in through there's like a channel thing right there, cover, and then along the side, and that was just a complete waste of time. So just take the extra few minutes, pull these off, pull all the covers off. You can fold this carpet back here, and then you can feed it up. And on the front side, I did end up kind of prying this channel up because I didn't want to take it all apart, because it's got a bolt way under there and it'd just be a pain. So you can just kind of pry it up here, and then you can see that wire loom down there. That's the new cable for the pedal reference. That connects up under here. Focus, please. Anyway, it's this plug right here, and it's really quite simple. You just take the factory one out, little push, and slide it right off, and then the JMS one plugs into that. And then if I dig up under here, I can probably get to the actual connection. should have started this video a lot sooner than I decided to, but whatever. Alright, so here's this. So basically, oh, it's a gray and a white, not a black, sorry. But anyway, those are taped off underneath there. They're just grounds. You don't want them to ground anywhere. So tape them off, and then you plug that guy into the one that you plugged in up there. And now you have your input for the pedal reference. And I think from the factory JMS, they say you don't need to adjust the settings on it at all. It's set to come on at like 75% throttle. And it's like a ramp up from there, so it's not just immediate on off. So anyway, that is the routing of that cable for the pedal reference. And I'll come back to this in a minute when I get ready to plug in these connections. I'm going to mount that boost pump module back here in the back, and then I'll pick this back up and show you how those work. Okay, now you can see that I've got the JMS boost pump PowerMax thing here mounted up, just kind of onto that same rail there that the seats are bolting to. Didn't look like there was anything underneath there to, you know, worry about hitting it with the screws, so made my life easy, pre-drilled, and then hit it with the self-tappers. So that's all kind of nice and tidy. Next thing I'm going to do now is run the cable back up through here for the gas pedal reference, and then that guy is going to plug in over here on the side. So I'm going to route that, and then I'll plug that in, and then we'll move on to plugging in those pieces in line to the fuel pump. Okay, so like I mentioned a minute ago, this is the cable for the pedal reference, and I need to run that up and underneath here back to the boost pump. There is like 14 miles of extra length here. I could hook it up to the Trackhawk behind me, but anyway, you'll just have to kind of wrap this up, and I plan to leave most of it kind of under here, you know, just out of the way, out of sight, to make for a nice neat install. And then this plugs into the boost pump like I showed you earlier. This guy here, I think it just hangs free. I believe this is for the, there's an optional thing you can buy that's like a knob where you can manually like control the voltage and override the settings on the boost pump panel itself. I didn't opt for that, but I believe that's what that is for, if you opt for that extra thing. Doesn't really say. Anyway, before I run this, I thought since we were right here, I'd go ahead and show you how these work. So it's really simple. I don't know if I can do this with one hand, but you'll get the idea. You just unplug one of these, and then you grab one of these guys, right? And you plug this in here, snaps, and then this one back into the, I don't know what you call this, controller relay. And then you take this, so you have that connection made, and then you've got this pigtail here, and this plugs into one of these two wires that you ran in from the back, and just a simple plug there. So I'm going to clean this up so it doesn't look all weird, but that's basically the gist of it. You got dual pumps in the Trackhawk, so you got one for this side, and they give you a second one for that side, and then both connect to these. So I'm going to plug all that in, clean this up a little bit, run this one back to the back, and then I'll pick up from there. Okay, so now I've got everything plugged in here. You can see the other one under this side, and the wiring is, you know, neat-ish, which is good enough. One thing I wanted to point out that I forgot to mention before, don't forget to ground it. The ground wire comes off here, and here's a factory grounding point that just worked out really nicely based on where I decided to install it. So nice and easy 10mm to remove that. Slide your ground wire right on there, crank her down, you're good to go. So that is the wiring, which will be neatly concealed under that carpet. And here is the completed install. Just plug that guy in, gonna clean up the wiring there a little bit. There's a couple inline fuses there, and you can see where everything goes back underneath towards where I was showing you a minute ago. So all will be nicely concealed by the spare tire carrier slash tub that goes into this. So should work out nice. Now I'm going to move on to replacing the fuse. According to popular opinion, there is only one fuse for this. Even though they send you two, and they tell you there's two, in the fuse block here it is number 70, which is that 20 amp right there. So you'll take that out and you'll replace it with, I think it's a 40 that they send you. I can't see it there, it doesn't matter. Oh, maybe we can. It'll look like a 30. Anyway, so I'm going to do that next, and after that I should have everything I need to do done so that I can turn the key on and just make sure that it fires up. Gratuitous engine shot. Couldn't help myself. Hey, nice work, JMS. Very obvious that they send you the wrong fuses in the Trackhawk kit. You'd think they'd know what kind of fuses that it needs. So I live out in the country, so it's about 20 minutes to the nearest parts store for me. And I'm not going to do that run today just for a fuse. However, I do see that the 30 amp fuse right next to it is for the amplifier. So just for purposes of testing this out, I'm going to snag that one, drop it in there, and then when I make it to a parts store, when I head to work tomorrow, I'll stop and grab some of the appropriate fuses for this thing, and probably just a multi-pack, good to have some on hand anyway, which I haven't done for this car. So anyway, there's a quick fix solution in case you need to test it and you can't use the incorrect fuse that JMS supplied. Alright, and with that I should have everything I need to have done in place to at least test this and see if it works. So all I should have to do is come in here and just power on without starting. So we're going to do that. Okay, so we're into run. Now let's go back and see if we see a green light on the JMS. Well, that's bullshit. I'm just going to go ahead and push down on the gas pedal. And I can't do both things, so I'm going to set this here. And I'm just going to go ahead and let's see if we can get this to focus. Alright, I'm going to go push down on the gas pedal. And according to the manual, which also says that LED should illuminate when the power is on, but I was told that that isn't necessarily the case, and somebody wasted a bunch of time troubleshooting because of that bit of incorrect instruction. I'm going to go push the pedal down. When I get to about 3/4 throttle, this thing should start its little boosting deal, and that should result in that LED blinking green. So I guess we'll try that and see if it works. Here we go. Floored. Off throttle. Half, 3/4, floored. Off throttle. Alright. Okay, I'm going to watch this video and learn if that worked or if I've got more work to do. Alright, so I watched the last video and I can see that test failed miserably. I think what I'm going to try next, based on some stuff I read online, is just set the camera down here and focus it on the JMS, and because apparently that LED isn't going to stay solid all the time, and I just want to see if maybe it flickers when the pump primes and you first turn the key on, just to get an indication there. And then I'm also going to take a look at the fuel rail pressure on the laptop through HP tuners and just make sure that I actually see it having pressure there. So that's the first thing we're going to do. Once I feel like I know we have good fuel rail pressure, regardless of the outcome of this deal here, I'll feel a little better about trying to start the thing. But at the moment, I'm just going to see if maybe we get something right away when I prime it. So, see what happens. I heard it prime. Just going to try the pedal thing here once more. I see plenty of pressure at the fuel rail, so it definitely primed. Floor it once, let off, floor it again, let off, and now we'll check the video. Okay, let's see if we got lucky that time. Alright, I looked at that and I saw it flicker when it primed, or it turned on when it primed, so that's good. And I got plenty of pressure at the rail here, so that tells me that it's doing its thing. I'm going to start it here. Exactly the fuel pressure it's asking for at the rail, so that is good. I think what we'll try here in a minute, after this warms up just a little, I'll just do some revving, give it like quick wide open throttle, and see if that thing blinks back there like it's supposed to. Just as another kind of double check. I'm looking for my air fuel on here. I must not have it in the tracking deal over here. I guess I have it over here. Performance pages. Anyway, let's go see if that light's on just for fun. Okay, so apparently it doesn't give you the solid light during just the key on test, even though that's what their stupid instructions say, is, oh, just turn the key on and then the LED will stay illuminated. Clearly that's not the case, but when you actually run it, then you have a solid on LED. So it's going to get real loud, but I'm going to go and try to rev this thing up. Just give it a couple quick bursts of wide open throttle and see if that flashes. It's supposed to flash when it's adding output. It's going to be brief, but I just want to see if it does it. So I'm going to set this down again and we'll see what happens. About to get loud. happens, I can also check the log and see if I got a pop in fuel rail pressure there too, but hopefully it flickered. All right, so good news. As you saw and I saw after, it actually did flicker every time I popped it to wide open throttle, which is what it's supposed to do. So that's great. So then I saved that log, and just kind of playing it back here, I thought this was pretty interesting, so I thought I would show it. So here is the point where you can see that I popped the throttle a couple of times to wide open. And so right as I get on the edge of this here, I'll come over and show you the fuel rail pressure. So, you know, it's sitting right at 50. It's getting 50, it's asking for 50. And then as I advance this to just that point where I've got it wide open, you can see that happening right there. And as I come over here, I'm just gonna click slowly through this, a couple milliseconds at a time, and you can see the fuel rail pressure pop. So this is exactly what we would want to see happen here. Ask for more. Boom. Plenty of fuel pressure at the rail. That's going to come down quick because, of course, I just gave it those super fast bursts. But my assumption is because of that, you know, that's when it's doing that deal where it's popping that output via the voltage just briefly there. And then as I kind of move through this, you'll see it come back down, and it quickly aligns with normal. Now I'm moving on over here to the second one where I did it the second time. And we should observe the same thing again. So here it comes, and there's the rail pressure popping up there nicely. That's good. The reason I was doing this is after having this thing tuned, and it made 901 at the tire, doing some logging, started getting you know, the occasional safety cutout, and started looking through why, and I was running out of fuel rail pressure during certain times at wide open throttle. It would be asking for 80 psi, and it would only be getting, you know, 65. And there were a couple times where the injector duty cycle got up into the 90s, and there's kind of my tuner put a safety cutoff in there for, you know, if any situation like that were to occur. So we started looking at it. It wasn't the fuel sloshing in the tank. It was clearly just not being able to keep up. So I went on the hunt for a booster pump, and here we are. That suggests that perhaps this might be a good solution to the problem. So I'm going to button this thing back up. I think I've got the fuse thing to deal with, but I'll handle that, and put this Trackhawk back together and reach out to my tuner to see if we need to make any tweaks to the tune now that you know, this should be resolved and I have that boost pump in play. Highly recommend that, you know, any of you guys doing any of this stuff yourself, you know, if you have a custom tune on there, anytime you mess with anything to do with fueling, it's always a good idea to reach out to your tuner and just make sure there aren't any changes required based on the modification that you made. So I'll put this thing back together and give you guys one final shot when it's all done. Okay, one last thing before I button this up. Down here onto the passenger seat where the battery box is, there is this little auxiliary power block. I came across some literature online that suggested that relay right there is a fuel pump relay, and this fuse there next to the 5 was a 20, matching the size of the one that was up in the main fuse box under the hood. It's really unclear if that fuse is actually related to the fuel system, but I went ahead anyway and moved it from a 20 to a 30 with belief that it is. Oddly enough, this little auxiliary fuel block or under here uses the kind of fuse that was provided with this kit. So I took the 20 out, I put the 30 in, so now I've got a 30 here and a 30 under the hood. So as far as I can tell, everything fuel system related is now at a 30, but I'd be curious to know in the comments when I upload this video if anybody disagrees with that move. I just thought, why not? If it's fuel system related, I'll just go ahead and increase it, since I think I would want to do that everywhere with the addition of this system. So that's it. I'm going to put this thing back together now, but I thought I would point out that there is that little auxiliary there's auxiliary fuse block under here, and the internet suggests that perhaps that is related to the fuel system. So I went ahead and made the upgrade. All right, I've got that back together. I just thought I'd quickly show where that ended up. So you can see, you can see. Let's grab a light. So this is that back piece where the spare tire goes, and it's snugged right up under that thing there. But the way this worked out is that the two fuses right there are completely exposed, so I can pull this little access piece off and get to these fuses if I ever needed to. Otherwise, it is right under there. So nice and clean. Wouldn't even know it was there. Well, that's it. All back together again. Good as new. I hope you guys found the video helpful. Feel free to leave me some comments. I'm actually curious about the auxiliary fuse block underneath the passenger seat by that battery there. If anybody knows definitively if that fuse needs to be upgraded as well, I'd appreciate hearing from you. Otherwise, it's all good.